What are we talking about? Come on, man. 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 How many push-ups you want to do here, pal? Oh, come on, man. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. What is he doing? Come on, man. Give me a little break here. But everybody knows who this guy is. Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Get a life.
Come on, son.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Come on, man. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. You're making money. Come on. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Don't do drugs. If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
That mute button almost got me. Mute button almost got me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking. I'm your host, Rashawn. Now listen, I decided to make this a come on man because I know men are the problem in the situation I want to bring up today. The other issue is the problem with men is that I'm supposed to have a co-host today in the name of Mandrell. And you know, we've had this conversation before. So anybody that comes in, we're going to start today's conversation because we're going to talk about solutions. We're going to talk about solutions. On Unapologetic with Mandrell about a week ago, this past Wednesday, people were unable to, like, in good faith, theorize, just contemplate solutions. They pushed back. They argued against it. It's not possible. Okay, that's cool. I really want to believe that we can have those type of conversations. Hello, Don Frank. Good to see you. I know you might be leaving work soon. Good to see you. I know you popping in and popping out. But it was a very simple request and very simple instructions. If you're going to come up on the panel, have a solution. It did not mean you had to be a Nobel Prize winning scholar on the subject matter, where you had to have a fully fleshed out detailed thesis. And what's that thing that, what do you do when you get your master's? There's a thing you go to your practicum, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. There's something where you have to kind of prove your work. Didn't say you had to have any published material. Kawhi Bree in the building. Hello. Didn't say any of that, but just come up with a solution. It could be simple. It could be complicated. It could be any number of things, but he got a lot of pushback from the men's. So I wanted to try it here. With Mandrell, but you know. So the first conversation we're going to have today, the very first conversation today, and I want to ask everybody in the chat. Matter of fact, let me get a poll. Let me work the poll real quick. Let me get up on that poll. Because this is going to be more of a conversation about Black, about the identity of Blackness, about the people who share that Black American identity. That's mostly where this is going to come from. So we kind of identify, get to that poll, and let me get to that poll. Let me get to that poll real quick. Let me see. Start a poll. Let me see. What up, Kenton? And this is a pet peeve. I'm gonna start with this, but this is a pet peeve, but it speaks to a larger problem. Give me a moment. And Godless Sewing, Candid Ann, thank you for coming. So, everything is going well. How are you? How are you ladies doing today? I'm going to start with this question first. And again, I'm starting this conversation with this question because it's relevant, it's timely, and I believe it speaks to a pathology. It speaks to something. I don't know exactly what, but it speaks to something. And when I say black, I mean the people who carry the Black American identity. I know black is used for a race, it's used for a ethnicity, it's used for a culture, it's used for a nationality as Black American. I'm using it as the nationality Black American with that culture that comes with that. So that's how I'm using the word black so you can understand it. So that's my what's up, Quantum? Good to see you. When you see the poll, that is the question. Because before we work on any other problems, you kind of got to be there. Kind of got to be present. So that's where the poll came from. What is up, Danny? Danny, how you doing today? Pleasure to see you. Blessings to all. Big up. Von Eric in the building. Blessings. But Eric, they come back with the back-to-back blessings. That's what's up. We got the Blessing Brothers in the building. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. So that's the first question on the table before we even get started. So just to recap, Mandrill was having a conversation about a week ago about solutions, and the men's were really pushing back. The guys were really pushing back about, no, it's not possible. People should be able to do what they want. And it caught me off guard because these very same men, I've seen panel after panel, week after week, talk about what's wrong with the black community and why people should be doing things differently. But when Mandrill asked for solutions, they were like, no, everybody should be allowed to do what they want. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder why I've seen you for so many weeks, months consecutively talking about how people should be doing differently in the community and baby moms and single moms. It's strange to then hear y'all say that everybody should be able to do what they want. So I wanted to see if we could have the conversation a little more intelligently. I hate you all. Man, forget you, Yella. What's up, Yella? And what's up, Red Lipstick Vibes? Man, check out Red Lipstick Vibes. She was just having a conversation with the Saids. Our brother, he said, Mr. She said. And they were having a great conversation about some of these same things, social ills within the Black American culture community. So I was watching a little bit of that earlier today, and it's getting bad, y'all. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I know it's going to get worse. Things scientifically, psychologically, things don't just fix themselves. It just doesn't happen. Find an actual solution equals no more content. And that's the thing, Yella. I believe we're more intelligent than that. I just think we're not focused. I think we just don't have leadership a lot of times. I think we've adopted a culture where we pass the buck, where we pass it off to somebody else, bystander effect. It's somebody else's problem. Somebody else will fix it. I just got to keep my head down and do my work and get my money and do that, take care of my kids. I think we do that. I think most people do that. And I get it. I'm not trying to sway most people into trying to take on some leadership role. I'm not even necessarily trying to take that on, but I want to see if it's possible to work through some possible solutions. And again, some may be impossible, some may be improbable, but I'd like to actually have a good faith conversation about situations that occur in the community amongst the people who, if somebody were on the street, they were like, oh, those are your people. Among those people, if somebody would look at me and say, oh, you're one of them, I want to have a conversation about them. I want to have a conversation about the us. That's what I mean about the Black American, the Black, that identity. The person I would get lumped in with. And when I have that conversation, I also want to make it clear. I'm not having it from a place of like respectability politics, like other people are looking at us. No, I'm thinking more about we got to live with us. Like I have to live beside you. Like when I came home one time and these guys were out there posing with guns. And I'm like, I don't want some idiot posing with a gun and, pat, I'm gone. I got to live by these people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want to have the conversation. Not that I need to prove anything to anybody else's culture. I really don't. That's not my mentality. I don't believe in that. What I do believe in is I need to try to affect the world around me, and the people that are around me look like me. So that's the premise of this conversation, where I'm coming from. So the poll is out. The poll, I thought it was out. Did a poll come up? I don't see it. I don't see a poll. Oh, there it is. Cool. I see it. I found it. I do and will continue to leave the leadership to those who seek recognition. There you go. And see, I don't want recognition, but I do want to believe that I have, have I given the deliberate and intentional thoughts of seeing, was there something I could do to make some effort, like to give effort towards change that would be meaningful? even if it was just the one person, I try some stuff here and there. I do some stuff for people around the way. But is there more? Is there more we could do if we put our heads together? Could we think of more solutions? Could some of among the wisdom of the crowd, could we collaborate? Could we find somebody that had the necessary network and skill to implement some of these things in conjunction with the things that we can do? So that is the impetus. That is the drive for this conversation. But most of y'all agree with me. So this conversation is going to be mostly theoretical, for fun, for grins, for giggles, because I have a hard time believing that you can trust people of any color, really. But I put Black Americans because that's where this conversation is driving from the Black American perspective. Can you even trust people who won't even show up on time? Because see, to me, that's a sign of disrespect. They don't respect your time. They don't respect what you're trying to do. To me, it's a sign of disrespect, and you can't trust anybody that doesn't respect you. That's my opinion on that. Especially when communication is so readily available. Text messages, emails, phone calls, all that stuff can be done to let you know, like, yeah, I'm not going to be there on time. I'm going to be there a little late. So I agree. It seems like we agree. So this is purely theoretical. This is purely for fun. This is purely for entertainment purposes. So we're starting there. I wanted to see where I was at. And I kind of agree with y'all. Because I haven't found it. Yeah, man, you got to reclaim your time. I have not found that it is because the people, if they're not investing enough to show up. Let me tell you this, where I learned this. I told y'all before, I was teaching Sunday school. I was teaching Sunday school in the church, and I was not a Christian. I was an open non-Christian, but I was teaching Sunday school. They knew I wasn't, but I was the only person who would prepare. I was the only person who would read and study. In a church full of people who claim to be Christian, I was the only person that could be trusted to be there on time, and be ready. I was the only person. So there's a trait. There's a trait of reliability, of trustworthiness. I get a lot of people don't have that. We don't teach that. We don't impart it. We don't practice it. There's something there. There is something there. So it's hard for me to believe, even if we came up with a solution, that people that won't show up on time could be trusted to implement it. You couldn't trust them to show up for the solution on time, which may be important. You may need to be in a specific space. You may need to be in a spot at a time. And I can't trust you to do that. You may need to meet somebody at a time with a piece of information to get the ball moving in a certain direction. I can't trust you to do that, which means all the work falls on the main person or one person or certain other people, but you can never be trusted to be part of that plan. So, that's my thing. Because we all have the same 24 hours. We all have the same 24 hours. We all have the ability to, ambulate. We can move. We have the ability to vocate. We can form speech patterns. So the fact that we can't get to where we need to go and say, if I'm late, I'm running late to somebody, it's a bit of a problem. But being habitually late is a personality trait that makes someone unemployable. And that's another question. That's the other side of the coin I wanted to ask, because I was listening to some Black studies professors, and they were talking about world Black, the race Black. They said in other parts of the world, a lot of Black people don't conceptualize time the same way we do. We have a very Western notion of time, tying our reality to the hands of a clock. And people will show up when they show up. They don't have, in other places, I don't know, I can't remember exactly which places they talked about. A lot of them were not as developed as the United States of America, but they were saying people would show up. I want to say in the Caribbean, I want to say parts of Africa, time was a little less rigid. People showed up, might be 30 minutes late, might be 20 minutes late, might be 5 minutes late, but they nobody worried about it. It was very relaxed. So I'm willing to concede that my westernized thinking and being brought up in that thought process could affect the way I think and feel. I mean, that's a part of reality. So that's the other side of the coin. Am I tripping? So when I say on time, it's color people time. Yeah, sorry, just adding some lotion on. But I'm going to play a video. I'm going to drop the link because I want to talk about this specific situation that popped up. And it's about men. Boy, because I know it's us. They wouldn't say it. And the people in the comments said they wouldn't say it. But boy, let me bring this video up. Yeah, people who don't show up on time create instability. That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, because that's been a thing. That's been a thing. And again, it's Mandrill today, but it's not just Mandrill. That's a thing in real life. That's a thing on any panel, which annoys me because I always have to be ready with plan B. Facts. So plan B is we are going to critically drink. So let's see. Bam. Let's go over here. Let's go relax in the living room. We're just gonna relax here. We're just gonna relax. Got the little comfy background. Got the nice little soft chair over there. Got the wood panel. We're gonna just get comfortable. We're just gonna settle in. Just gonna settle in and get comfortable. Y'all don't want to work. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all just want to be comfortable. Yeah, let me see. And StreamYard is coming up pretty slowly, so bear with me, y'all. StreamYard is coming up very, very slowly. So I'm seeing comments come up over here that are not showing up in my StreamYard. So if y'all put something in the chat and I don't see it, you may have to repeat it or point it out because some of the stuff is not coming up. There we go. That shame walk when you're late. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Let me bring in this video. Let me see. I saw this last night. Tripped me out. Saw this last night. It did trip me out. So I'm going to bring this in. And we're going to talk about it.
We are embarking on a journey investigating injustice in Chicago. The goal is to make the city safer for everyone.
I know Yella.
But especially for those most impacted by crime.
CBS 2 investigator Dorothy Tucker spotlights a troubling pattern that's been ignored for years, and Dorothy joins us now live.
Well, Jim and Marie, we uncovered some unique facts and figures that revealed for the first time the truth about who criminals are really targeting. It's people who look like me. Our investigation exposes the causes and consequences of black women at risk.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Reports of multiple people shot on the city's west side.
It's all we think about.
Multiple suspects walked up to the victim demanding his car.
Our biggest fear.
Breaking tonight, 4 teens, 3 15-year-olds and 1 16-year-old, all shot while on a front porch.
Being the next victim of a crime.
The man stumbled down the Chinatown platform, bleeding from his neck from a gunshot wound.
But what are your chances?
We're not just talking about 1 or 2 robberies here. We're talking dozens of them.
Who's really the most at risk? Is it white men, white women, Asians, Hispanics, black men? No, it's not. It's women who look like Tonia Thomas.
It's scary.
According to Chicago police crime data for 2022, when you look at all the offenses, count all the victims, black women are the most at risk.
It's honestly, it's not fair.
Unfair because that 67,000 means 25% of crime victims are black women. But they make up only 16% of Chicago's population. And when the CBS 2 investigators kept digging, we discovered even more disturbing data. Black women represented more than a third of kidnappings, 35% of assaults, 38% of batteries attacked and injured, 40% of rape victims. And let this sink in. Black women are 52% of human trafficking victims. Remember, they're only 16% of the population.
To have to navigate through life knowing that you'll potentially become a victim of a crime, primarily because of your race and your gender combined, it's not fair.
Thomas survived a rape.
This is all the paperwork from the hospital.
But she still feels the pain.
What happened to me, it won't go away.
It happened here, this West Side apartment building, at a friend's party.
I did have a couple of drinks, but nothing too crazy.
Pictures of a happy, smiling Thomas were taken just minutes before she felt dizzy and went to the bathroom. The police report details the horrors of the criminal sexual assault.
I remember being in the bathroom with the person who assaulted me. And I remember just trying to get out of the restroom. but I couldn't get out.
The car was parked actually right there on the corner, right before the stop sign.
Even when it comes to nonviolent crimes and reports where police record race, Black women,
I couldn't believe it,
like Evelyn Sparks, are targets. Black women account for 24% of property thefts, arson 28%, car thefts 29%. Again, they're only 16% of the population.
You could see it out the window.
A 2019 Kia.
I parked it there every day.
But in less than 10 minutes, it was gone. Photos of a trashed Kia found by police an hour later.
Somebody would take something that you worked so hard.
I did not say it was going to be fun and lighthearted. I said, let's get comfortable. I said, let's get comfortable. I was settling in. I had to get out of that come on man mode. I'll get into the slow, that's all. Not fun. This ain't going to be fun and lighthearted. I did not say that. Ooh, wait. I hope I didn't.
It just makes you feel very violated.
Why are they targets? Because they're, if you want to call it, easy prey. Yes, yeah.
Geneva Brown is a professor of criminology at DePaul University.
We just had an unfortunate Officer Preston who was killed. She was on her way home at 1:40 in the morning, and she was a target of a robbery. Disproportionately, Black women are working third shift jobs. Black women are in communities where there is a lack of a middle class, a lack of a economic foundation that would deter this type of behavior.
Where they live, when they work, and listen to this, how they are perceived by criminals put a target on the backs of Black women.
You know that you're in a neighborhood where crime is the norm and not the exception. You're in a neighborhood where you know that the police are slow to respond. It creates that atmosphere where, unfortunately, you have people who feel empowered to become bolder or to continue to commit offenses until they're caught.
Why does it always have to be me? When do I get a break? When can I have some peace? I hear those words quite often in the work that I do.
Gabrielle Molden-Carwell works as a trauma therapist, helping Black women cope with their emotional pain.
It's disheartening, and it causes self-doubt because something must be wrong with me.
She knows the trauma of sexual assault, not just because she treats survivors.
I've seen it in my mom.
She's lived with it.
I've seen it in my grandmother on my mom's side. I've seen it for myself.
And how old were you?
I was 12.
In the year 2000, when this photo of a carefree little girl posed for the camera, masking her torture.
It went on for about 6 months or so. I was angry. I was heartbroken.
It's very aggravating.
Rage keeps me up at night a lot.
How long have Black women been overrepresented? The CBS 2 investigators went searching for answers. We looked at every crime, every victim, not just 1 or 2 years, not 3 or 4. We went back 21 years. CBS 2 investigative data journalist Elliot Ramos crunched the numbers.
The stuff is buried in like statistical reports that come out every year.
But it's here, the latest, pages 79 to 81.
You got batteries, you got robberies.
Ramos combined the crime data
by day of week, by location type,
with race, sex, and age from police reports.
It was surprising at how consistently Black women in particular were over-indexed in relation to the population, like year after year after year.
The revelation, Black women have always suffered more than others. A surprising fact?
I was 16 when all of that was going on.
No one suffers more than young Black girls under 18. A perfect picture of a thriving high school junior at Little Village until she dated the wrong boyfriend.
I remember like him grabbing my arm and he swung on me and hit me. He was very violent. He was very mentally abusive. All of that was very traumatic.
From 2001 to 2022, for every white girl attacked and injured, there were 18 Black girls hurt.
I decided like I wanted to take some pills. I no longer was getting the A and B's that I wanted. So if my grades began to drop, I felt very burdened. And so I no longer wanted to feel burdened.
I feel like this is just as bad as the war on drugs, right? Like, everything went shut down for that. But what about these crimes?
But for Black women disproportionately targeted by crime, there is no special task force, no mayoral commission.
We talk about big picture stuff, we talk about, hot topics, but Black female victimization is not a hot topic.
And Brown adds, no public outcry to address the core causes.
And I think that this is a conversation that needs to be had.
We've been counting CTA attacks, and this one marks 8 in the past 10 days.
As a Black woman walking into the world,
some of the 14 wounded are still in the hospital.
Every day, and knowing there's this high probability that something's going to happen to me when I leave the house. And it's like, do you even leave home? But we have to. We can't, live a life where we're sheltered, but why should we have to?
Thank you. Man, this mute button. Man, the CTA is so dangerous for women. Them fools be on there bugging. So, what I wanted to do was talk about, and again, theorize. This is theorizing. What are some things that we can do? Like, actually do. I know we've been trying some things continually for decades, like praying and voting, but those are perfectly viable things to throw out there, right? I even started some. I added some stuff on here, right? I added some stuff to the list. Hopefully you guys can see that. I want to start like brainstorming. Brainstorming is the word. Brainstorm. We have stuff like this going on in the community. There's a lot of what do you want to call it? There's a lot of animus. There's a lot of animosity between men and women, especially online, but it's in real life. You can tell there's a lot of hatred that lends itself to violence and predatory behaviors. I do believe women should be safe. I once said, I know it's gonna sound stupid when I say it, because I have a hard time believing. I've been listening to or checking out this lady called what's her name? Princella. I want to say it's Princella, the Queen Maker. I've been listening to her lately, and she's saying because of testosterone, men have we can't control ourselves. We're like bots. I'm like, as a man, I have a hard time wanting to accept that. But then I see stuff like this, and it's like I've heard about rape culture my entire life. I've heard about the boys will be boys, and some stuff is just, you can't control. You gotta get this out. They say I've heard all kinds of strange things. It's hard for me to want to believe that men are uncontrollable because I've had to control myself. So I don't believe that women should be able to move through life constantly under threat. Like, that should not be a condition that women have to deal with, like constantly under threat. Not in a civilized society. In a civilized society, there should be some measure of decency and safety that's afforded people. Not just women, but children, men, boys, girls. Everybody should be relatively safe, and we should all be trying to ensure that. I see we don't care to do that anymore. And I see that. I do believe what I was going to say, the stupid statement that I made before, is that if a woman at 2:00 in the morning is naked and doing cartwheels down a dark alley, nothing should happen to her except maybe somebody offer her a jacket. Like, that's my ideal. I know that's not reality, but that's the ideal. I do believe men should strive to be better humans. And I know for a fact we failed in that regard. I see it not just in real life. I see it online. I don't know. I don't think I know. I'm trying to think. I probably know one man. Yeah. All this talk about protection, who are you protecting us from? Other men. Yeah, that's the entire thing. The entire history of humanity is about the violence of men. Like the fact that we're even in the United States of America is because of some men. Groups of men run around, Genghis Khan and the Vikings. It's been a long-standing tradition for men to like to go around and cause havoc, wreak havoc. Something men just get into, and we accept it. It's just something that even still today, some of it, I would say, is legalized behind a badge. You can walk around and just rouse people up. You get to gang up. Get to act out your aggression. Military. You get to go to somebody else's country and just blow stuff up. That's men. Women are not asking for that. No, women are not doing this. That's not their aim. So there's something going on for sure. Has always been on for sure with men. I'm not going to blame it on testosterone, but there's something on. I don't think this disproportionate number is victims attached to hatred for women. I did, not in the social media sense. Well, the problem with that, Yella, is that everything's a part of everything else. The hatred for women offline is what brought it to online, which means that it plays ping pong. The people that hate women log on, and they're the people that hate women. The same thing with the people that hate men. They log on, and they're the people that hate men. Like, this stuff carries on. Like, I'm not saying that it started online, because I just referenced like Genghis Khan. They didn't have the internet. And I can't say. That's something we could talk about. That's something we could talk about. It might be somewhere in between. Maybe it's just a complete lack of regard. Like being property. So that might be closer to entitlement. Maybe it's both. Maybe the sense of entitlement leads to a sense of hatred because now that you have choice, we've got to put in work to do things. Maybe it's both. I don't know. I also know it is a predatory move to pick on weaker. Like, that's the natural thing. That's a natural order. People don't typically punch up. Insects, nothing really punches up because you get beat, you get defeated. So people are going to prey upon weaker humans, weaker animals, weaker this. That's a power dynamic there. I get that. There's a power dynamic there. But as far as solutions, guys, right? What are some solutions to this? Because again, these people start out as children. They pick up these thoughts, these feelings, these behaviors along the way. So just in the immediate category, because I know there's a lot of this, like the woman that said her car was stolen. A lot of these are just unattended to children. A lot of this starts with kids who are unattended to. They do not have any guidance. I've seen it in my real life, so I know it's a thing. So in my immediate solution is create childcare co-ops where people are looking after each other's children in a community style so that people have time to do the things they need to do. Not everybody's trying to do it alone right now. So some childcare co-ops. And although this would be unfavorable if we thought it through, but I'm just saying I just put some basics just to get our minds thinking about solutions, what solutions might look like. A second crime bill. We know what the crime bill did the first time, but it did get a lot of stuff off the street. Took a lot of fathers, took a lot of brothers, took a lot of uncles, took a lot of sons off the street as well. Took a lot of innocent people off the street as well, but it's a lot of problems off the street too. And you would need more money, people, education, skill category. Become a vigilante. Become a vigilante hero. It's silly, but you can become a vigilante. And Sharia law. We would need more political clout. And then really far out there stuff, right? Just so people are, again, thinking, like, don't let anything stop you from thinking about solutions. Evaporate all violators. Or Cynthia G, all male babies, like she says. Cynthia G, all the male babies. There's an old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. That's true. What's up, Billy? How you doing? Hope everything's going well. Good to see you. But I want to hear some solutions. If anybody, again, the link is pinned if somebody wants to come up. If you don't, that's fine too. I'd like to hear this is a brainstorming session. Brainstorming session. And I'm not saying anything should be taken off the table. It's simply a brainstorming session to come up with ideas to see if my community, the people that are around me, can think of solutions. If that's something our minds are tuned to, or have we gotten so into the cynicism and naysaying that only thing we can do is say what won't work to this issue? Absolutely. What is a solution? What's the solution? I would say one is separate all genders. Genders could be separated in society. That'd be closer to Sharia law. I'll put Sharia law in here. Men and women are separate. And I know they still have violence against women over there too. But it doesn't have to be fleshed out. I'm not asking anybody for a thesis. I'm not asking anybody for a dissertation. I'm not asking anybody for what is that called? I'm not asking anybody for anything detailed. I'm asking for simple starting points, a sentence of a solution. See if we can even do that. If we can't even do that, then we can't show up on time. We can't show up. If we can't even think, then I'm definitely doing some things wrong. Risa Neal. Hello, everyone. Hello, Risa. Good to see you. Just played a video on the and this was just Chicago, but it's not only Chicago. This is not a thing from only Chicago. Women being victimized disproportionately in all levels of crime. All levels of crime. It was speaking specifically to Black American women in Chicago, but again, this is a thing. It's not specific to Chicago. I would say it's not specific to Black women as well. I would bet the victims of crime in most of the areas are probably going to be women. Yeah, it's a tough one. But again, I even started us out, Bree, tending to the children so that they're growing up in spaces where they're not uncared for and unlooked at, where they're not neglected. A second crime bill. Okay, so there it is. Getting rid of some traditional thinking. That's a solution. Again, it can be simple. It does not have to be fully fleshed out. We need starting points. We need starting points. We need starting points. No religious laws. Treat others as you wish to be treated. So we can do that now. That would just be a character thing. So, no religion. Oh, you talking about the Sharia law? I'm gonna put that in there. See, Bree says get rid of traditional thinking. And once we have something on the table, because this is a brainstorming session, if we have enough brains in the room, we can start to look at a couple of them and talk about the worthiness of them, the realisticness of them. But can we even take the time to put forth ideas at all? Do we have the requisite thinking? Do we have the courage to even stretch our brains to think of a solution to a problem that people are really living with? We saw faces. We have faces, not just stats. We have faces. Get rid of the idea that you own partners or you can own humans. Okay. I like that because I do think there's a possessiveness. There's a layer of possessiveness, there's a desire, I believe, especially because even if it's not the human crime, like the property crimes, I'm taking something of yours or destroying of something of yours. There's a lot of jealousy and envy wrapped up in that. It's not always just lack. I've seen a lot of people steal just for the sake of stealing, not just because they wanted what you had; they just didn't want you to have it. I'm a bit old school, so I believe in building the community around you and investing in the future. Now I'm gonna put that in the need more area because we need other people to build a community. So build a community around you. Oh, community, I spelled that all wrong. All right, cool. All right. That would be useful. That would be useful, having a community around us that we could look after each other, help each other towards positive ends, because everybody doesn't have the same skill. Everybody doesn't have the same talents. But I do believe that the breakdown of families and communities has played a heavy role in what we're seeing today. And that's just my opinion. Tribal communities survived thousands of years. Those traditions helped us make it here long before religion. Yes, that's going with that community that got us on. Yeah, so community is an important thing. Community is an important thing. More oversight. There's more accountability. More people looking at you. More enforcement. But there is a thing where cities get so big that you lose a sense of community. You get lost in the crowd. So you're not bound to anything other than the law, and the law is not everywhere. The law is not everywhere. The law is not everywhere all the time. Well, I thought it might be difficult. Let me see. Realize that if you don't want to be a part of the solution, it's okay to be silent. Yeah. Community therapy. Now, I'm going to put that also in need more, only because of the number of therapists. We need more therapists, which will bring up another solution. We need to train up children and educate them towards being some of the solutions to our problems. Realize that if you don't want to be part of the solution, it's okay to be silent. I'm going to put that in the immediate. Let me see. Where are you going to? Let me see. Obstacle removal. Let me see. Removing yourself as an obstacle. That definitely is something that we could do. We can stay out of each other's way. People who are trying to do something positive, we can stay out of their way. Not discourage them. That's definitely something that can be done. And you don't need any help to do that. So that's definitely something that can be done. For sure. Walking away from confrontations. Yes, okay. De-escalation. Walking away from confrontations. Isn't that right? I didn't think so. Let me see. I know. Bam, put a dash in it. Put a little dash on the Mrs. Dash. Okay, cool. All right. We got some more in the chat. Come on, y'all. Where y'all at? Fear is poison in any community. Work on the character of our children and support them in their adventures. Let me see. Work on character and support the youth. And we do need to have a safe way for them to learn resilience, to have their exploratory phase. We need to have a community where kids are safe to be out there. Writing. Okay, we got your writing. Write out feelings and emotions. Inventory. What about meditation? A lot of people talk about meditation. I'm gonna put a / prayer. I'm just put them in there together. People need to learn to process emotions, and we need to find a way to build resiliency and teach delayed gratification. That's a big one. Let me see. Learn to process emotions, build resiliency, teach delayed gratification. Speaking of that, I am fasting today because I have been gratifying myself, and that sounded terrible, with food. And it still didn't sound too good. I've been eating more than I should. I've been having outside food. I've not been cooking. That was so pause-worthy. I didn't like any of that. At all. Teaching conflict resolution. Yes, I'm gonna add that on there. What was that one? With de-escalation, conflict resolution. That's definitely something big. We do need some like anger management courses, even in the schools, because I promise you, because of the conditions I guess so many people live in, some of these kids are so angry. So angry. And again, the video was not talking about kids. They were talking about the adults. But I do believe that a lot of what happens from the adults is from the brokenness of the unattended to, neglected, and abused children. When these people grow up, they stay broken. Uniform. You say uniform. Uh-oh. That way everybody ain't uniform. If you want the whole country looking exactly the same. Okay. Go vote for the proper judges. Local elections. Local elections matter. That's immediate. Let me see. Local elections. Let me see. Just trying to think. Illegal. Emphasis on legal. Yes, that's important. I think more women should get involved in exercising their Second Amendment rights as well. Yeah, open season. I'm not gonna put open season. Put open carry. I'm gonna put open carry. Women carrying. Nah. Packing. Now women need to be packing. Pew pew. All right. Yeah, that would help in some cases. That would help some of the stuff. But man, it can't. That's such a terrible thing that we even have to think about stuff like this. But now that we're here and we're thinking about solutions, what are some other things that we could do? Like we got a lot of the media, so I think a lot of this stuff is stuff we can do right now. It's like character and will. Curfews. Okay, we got the curfews. All right. Keep them off the street. Keep people off the street. Okay. They were doing that in my city. Young people were shooting out there on man. This bar, it's like a strip of bars, man. Strip of bars. Women need to live in secure and safer areas. Now listen. Yeah, you might not have been proposing this as a solution, but I'm gonna put segregated housing and communities. Gender. Come on. Gender. Thank you. What am I spelling? Thank you. Jesus Christ. What do? I put an extra vowel in there. Leaders need to step up and lead by example. Not a sports star, but the uncle and aunt who shows their care should be celebrated. So, celebrating regular Joes. I like that. Solutions could probably be more geared consequences than change behavior. Change behavior can help, but will not prevent the violence. Not being a downer, I promise. I get you. So what are some consequences that you would add, Yellow? What are some consequences that you would add? And then we can look at a few of these. And talk about them. What's preventing us from implementing them? Once we have a few more on the table. Don't have kids if you can't afford a 2-bedroom in a secure area. And then again, when we talk about this stuff, and I'll probably do this on a separate stream. Go over these one at a time and break them down. Like for instance, don't have kids. Now we know there's nothing preventing people from having kids. So there would be something like we would talk about how to prevent somebody from having kids before they've done any of this stuff. Like what kind of carrot and stick, what kind of incentive or correction would you apply to if they have kids outside of this rule? And if you can't afford, then how would you adapt that per location? Like, my city is different than in a rural area. So do you have to have it would it be like a statewide thing, like a state average? So that we'll actually talk about the solutions in a more detailed manner and build towards something solid and sound. And a secure area, what constitutes a secure area? Do you have to be so close to a police station? Do you have to have so few crimes to happen in the area per cap, like, you know, like actually go through what does this stuff mean. So these are starting points, and you have to start from somewhere. If just as a personal rule, I get you, but even as a personal rule, we have to understand what that rule means. So even a person that says don't have kids if you can't afford a 2-bedroom in a secure area, the person is going to still have the urge to have kids, probably starting as a teenager. And then what does afford a 2-bedroom? What does it have to be safe? Like not just physically safe. Like a lot of people go into these places where it's not really safe electrically. The plumbing's bad. They might have some mold. It's a 2-bedroom and the area might be secure, but maybe it's a slumlord. I'm just trying to think of all the, at some point, not today, at some point, fleshing this out so that it's more detailed. Even as a personal rule, we have a lot of these rules now. A lot of these rules exist, and people just don't understand them or apply them. So we have to talk about, okay, how do we get people to implement these? How do we get people to buy into this? Like really working through this stuff. All these solutions, much wisdom. How about that? 40 stripes. Ooh, Sharia law. I'm adding that to Sharia law. Sorry. I don't know why that reminds me of Roberto. 40 stripes for bad adults. Sharia law just tickles the mess out of me. If nobody remembers that conversation.
Listen, people are, the black community is suffering, and you're saying it's great. You're saying it's great. Everybody else is suffering. And the black community is suffering. The black community is suffering.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Yeah, I don't think I am anymore. I don't think that I am. But the black community is suffering. People in general are suffering. But I wanted to speak to the video that I saw because I thought it was troubling. It was like 25% of all the crimes happen to black women. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot, man. And that's just one city. I know the percentages will be different in other cities, but I did want to come up with some solutions. So let me see. Now, these all feel immediate to me. That's too much. What you mean that's too much? What's too much? What's too much? That's too much. These all feel immediate to me. Like creating childcare. I feel like so much of this is because people are neglected and abused as children. Then there's nobody to pour into them, and we're expecting teachers to do all of their teaching. All them stats, woo! Them stats were crazy. Stats were crazy. We did it. Good job, chat. So we have some solutions on the table. And at some point, and we can do some basics here. I put 2 out here. I want a couple more moonshots from y'all. Some really far-fetched ideas. I put 2 out here. Evaporate all violators. Now, that sounds crazy, but I meant like all at once. Like on Thanos snap, right? Evaporate all violators. So like how I work through that in my head. I'll show you how I work through that in my head. That sounds far-fetched, but I know that the military has this technology where they can like kind of boil a person from a distance. I can't remember what it's called, but it's similar to a microwave, but it's focused. So you could do that to people individually, but how would you do that to an entire group of people? So you'd have to be able to identify the violators. Do they share some sort of common genetic trait? Are all violators, do they have like a criminal genes? So obviously that's so far-fetched. Nobody would have that kind of technology. That's why I put it in the moonshot. But you can work through even far-fetched ideas. You can start to work through them with things that start to come closer and closer to reality. Now this one. Asking everybody right now, I guess with Roe v. Wade being overturned and whatnot, you're going to have to go to certain states to get access to those reproductive rights to abort babies. So even Cynthia Gmail babies is complicated for some. They'd have to travel across state lines to places where they still do that. I don't know. I haven't kept up with that since that whole overturning thing. I don't know if that's still in effect, if some states have relaxed it. Blue state, red state, I don't know. I can't have the procedure, so I didn't keep up with that. But I put those on Moonshot. What are some other really far-fetched solutions? I know y'all got some. They might even be unpopular. You might fear getting judged for saying it. And I get that. I'm asking you to have the courage to say something outlandish today in the hopes that maybe your outlandish idea will be the thing that gets us to a better place tomorrow. 17 years of being smashed around did nothing for me. Maybe something different than straight up pain and humiliation. Leaders have to become involved, and people have to trust that wisdom. It can be wild. It can be wild. Like, again, the two I put there was Cynthia G, because she says abort all black male babies. That's what she said. That's our solution. I thought about chemical castration, but you went real castration. Okay. I mean, there it is. There it is. All right. Any more? Any other ones? Any far-fetched ideas? I mean, then they won't be there at all. Is that just for violators or just all men, period? I do want to have that distinction. Is that violators, people who sexually assault, or is that for like all men? Everybody becomes a eunuch. Gotta make that little orange chewing nails face. Violators? Okay, cool. All right. Whew. All right. Man. Okay. All right. Well, listen. I do a barrel of dicks. What's that? The guillotine? It'll be a guillotine. It should be cutting D. That'd be crazy. Oh my God. We're never going to meet. No, can't. Jails need to be more strict. More strict prisons? You want them more strict? Wow. More strict prisons. Okay. Now, what I'd like is better enforcement of the current laws. Like, I mean, man, we have enough laws. We have more laws than we need on the books. Stuff about horses and people chewing gum when they're crossing. We have dumb stuff because they haven't cleaned up the books. We need a simplified penal code. We need a simplified legal system. With I think with less subjectivity on sentencing and all that stuff, I think it needs to be based on the type of crime you commit. And sure, there can be some latitude within that, but it's really too varied now. It's too crazy where somebody can get off after a rape charge, and then somebody else can be like in jail for years over stealing a candy bar. Like that kind of stuff. That can't be. Help families with their lives from the beginning. Yes. Let me see. Better support systems. Better social support systems for families. Absolutely. That's what I really believe a lot of this stuff starts from broken homes. People who do not have the time and attention to watch their children. They get into negative stuff and it snowballs. It snowballs. Nobody was a model citizen all their life and just wakes up at 20 and is a carjacker or a rapist or a home invader. Nobody just wakes up at 22 and just starts doing that stuff. Woke up at 36 and became a drug dealer. It's not, you know what, today I'm going to start selling heroin. I'll just be out here smelling smack. Nah, that's not what happens. This is a pattern of learn and practice behavior, and often it's generational too. So I'm even going to incorporate What the Funk. He said this a long time ago. When this stuff starts in childhood, you got to take the whole parents to the boot camp. I'm going to put that in Needmore. There was a whole family reconditioning camps. And I know that sounds problematic, but we're just brainstorming here. We can worry about how it sounds later. But I do believe it's generational too. And I I'm gonna add this to Need More because Need More needs some love. I would add some restrictive reproduction. I mean, we need some licenses. And I don't mean like the paper one for marriage. I mean, we need people that have to qualify. And if you don't qualify, there's got to be something. There's got to be something. People can't just keep pumping kids out and not taking care of them. There's got to be something. Family, I know, right? 13-year-old facing 21 counts. You know him right now. Jesus Christ. Bread and water prisons only. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. I could not go to your prison. Oh, my God. Bread and water. Matter of fact, I'm only doing water today. Jesus Christ. But, I can miss a meal. All right. Anything else? Let me see. Do we need to do it? Let me see. I believe that kids need support and lots of support from 8 to 12. Things go south for a lot of people after this time. That's facts. I was watching a show. It was from the UK called 7 Up. They had a series and they follow people. They met them at 7 and they checked in every 7 years of their life. And you can see a lot of traits that have been instilled in them at 7 carry out through their lives. So from that 7 to 14, man, you saw a lot of stuff jump or like galvanize. Either the dramatic shift happened between 7 and 14 or like things solidified, became kind of concrete. People's lives did not take super dramatic turns much later on. So I do agree with you. What I think I might want to do, if I have people who are willing, and it is what it is. I want to start working on some of these, and maybe we'll add to it, like a standing date, a standing solutions date. And maybe it'll be every Thursday. Maybe that's what Come On Man can become. Like trying to get us to come on. We need to identify something and add some solutions. And then work through that for a couple of weeks. Maybe y'all won't want to. I don't know. But there's got to be something more we could do than just keep throwing our hands up. Because I do know that, man, coming up with solutions are not hard. Implementing them is. So the next part is actually going through and doing a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to each of these things. Some of these are going to be far-fetched. What would it cost? In time, in labor, in money, in land. Some of these places, like if we're building camps for people, because I know, was it What the Funk? When he talked about taking a whole family to a camp, where would you do that? I mean, cities are you could repurpose buildings, but then you have to eminent domain those buildings. You'd have to take those buildings and land from other people who already own it, but just aren't utilizing it. There are ways to get stuff done. We just don't even take the time. We don't step out of our lives long enough because it's not entertaining and it doesn't get us money. It doesn't bring us money and it's not entertaining to actually work through this stuff. I get why we don't do it. Because then even after you work through it, somebody's going to have to actually start doing some stuff. Look up what permits we would need. It would all kinds of stuff. Even if it's just trying to build a PAC, a political action committee. Even if that was where we came to after that. Or start grooming kids for political activity so that they would be instilled in the things that we thought. There's short term, there's long term, there's all kinds of things that could be done, but I know nobody wants to take the time. I get that. I get it because I'm that person too. Parents supporting parents. Weekly get to. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna put that with my co-op. That's kind of what that was intended to be. Let me see. Parents supporting parents. P2P. Weekly get to. That didn't sound good either. I gotta get my brain fixed. After the kids are down for the night, work through things. we do have to be able to get together for things outside of entertainment. We have to be able to coordinate for things outside of entertainment. If I want to go and get drinks or go bowling, all kinds of stuff like that, I could find people. It wouldn't be much of a challenge. Step out of your life. Yeah, we have to. I mean, eventually, if we want anything to change, we can keep hoping for it. And here's the problem. Okay, let me clarify my language, be more precise. Things are going to change. So when I say if we want things to change, I mean change for the better. If we want things to change the direction that they're in, they have to be pushed in a different direction. They're not going to change direction. Things are going to change, but they won't change direction. It won't be here anymore. We'll be further down this same road where women are even more unsafe. It'll get even worse out here. The children will be more violent at a younger age. Because right now, laws have not caught up to the fact that 12 and 14-year-olds are out here stealing kids routinely for fun. Laws don't move that fast. We have to start moving faster than the law. If we're not willing to, because the law, most of them don't live around us. Most of them are not impacted by what we're impacted by. They don't really have the same, I would say, the same incentive. The teachers that work in the community, the police that work in the community, the people that work in the community, a lot of times they go and they drive home 20 to 30 minutes away. So a lot of these places in impoverished areas, the only people that have to stay in it are us. It's us. Other poor people. And we get left with the drug dealers. We get left with the carjackers. And we don't have the tools because we're just trying to go to work and come home. Watch some Netflix. Go to sleep. Maybe get a good dinner. Maybe. But you don't want to go pick up dinner because you got to go out there with all the madness. You don't even want to do it. These women talking about they don't even want to leave their house. They don't even want to leave the house. Most people don't, most guys, girls, nobody wants to even leave the house anymore because it's the world outside. And again, I know this is a city conversation. This is a city conversation, probably a city of a certain size and a city of certain demographics. But in those places where a lot of people are pent up in small areas, a lot of this stuff is going on. And we can't count on other people to do it. So I want to, if we're going to spend this time together, it makes sense to me that we can start looking at solutions. And we can work through them. So we have some. We may add some later. Some of y'all may put some more in the comments later. Somebody on the replay, you may put some in the comments. I do not expect, because I've been around people too long. I do not expect as much engagement with this type of conversation as others. I get that. But I find that it probably would be more fulfilling if out of this, if one thing out of one area started to make sense to somebody and it became something that people adopted, wouldn't that be worth it? Just one thing. Just one thing. And what if in some future, maybe in 10 years, in 15 years, maybe in your city, maybe in some other city, the rate of crime from young people and men that impacted women, it went from like 25% to 16%. What if that's all the needle let it move was 9%? What if that's all it did? But that's 9% of hundreds of thousands of people who are not negatively impacted. I think that's a positive. And maybe it'll come to nothing. Maybe it'll just be more talk on the internet. Maybe. But as opposed to talking about submission again, or the latest thing from Aisha Curry, because she did that, you're going to be hearing about that probably for the next week. Some guy came out half naked, and she acted like she was taking her ring off. Y'all probably about to hear about that for a solid week on all the platforms. So let's work through this over the next. I'm gonna commit to Thursdays. I'm gonna keep this on Thursdays. I believe there's a conversation that really needs more attention. Count me in. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Got Kansas Ann in the building.
Hey, hey, hey.
What's up, Kansas Ann? How you feeling today?
Terrible, but I won't talk about that right now.
I understand. God, no. Yeah, Bree. It's happening. Aisha Curry acted like she was taking a ring off when the man came out and he was like in a Chippendale outfit. And the host on the reel reached over like don't do that, girl.
Girl,
I promise you.
I'm a girl.
You about to see that everywhere. Y'all about to see that everywhere. That's about to be a thing. So just prepare for it on all the platforms we be circling around. It's about to be Aisha Curry week. So I'm just thinking about this kind of stuff, and then starting to do SWOT analysis, and then like actually check like who knows who. Because I know my nephew spends a lot of time. There's a certain city councilman here, and he talked to when they put the food carts on restriction. They gave the food carts out here because there was some shooting on High Street. They started putting the food carts on restriction. And they had to leave at midnight, but there was a curfew at like 10:30 or something. So it was a bunch of weird stuff. But he talked. He knows, he sees the city councilman because he's downtown. We have connections. We have skills and talents. We have a lot of stuff. We just don't have it together. That's what we don't have. We don't have all of it together. And if we start accumulating some of this stuff together, knowledge, know-how, people, contacts, we can start doing something like a mutual aid network, just putting together resources and knowledge and people. But Camden, what brought you up today?
Hey, everybody. What are we talking about? Just poking fun. I really love the idea that you guys came up with the co-op, the safe haven sort of co-op with some kind of restrictions. I actually was thinking about that myself. And I mean, since you asked for far out there solutions that like, hey, you just never know what can pick up, what can be thrown away or whatever, right? Even if you incorporate some of it, not all of it. I think a safe haven for women, even if it was just for a year. And then the idea that I have is, I don't want to say a group home, right? But just basically a co-op in which you have a multitude of women that are combining their incomes to pay for the rent. Maybe they just have a room because they're focused on the rules are you got to be celibate. For this 1 year, got to be celibate. No boyfriends allowed in here, not even before hours, after hours, like no men allowed, just for this 1 year to focus on whatever your dreams are. And you got to be doing something, whether you decide to go to school, whether you decide to be an entrepreneur, focus on whatever business, whatever trade, whatever it is. And the reason why I thought about like the group home is because, while they're doing these things, I think it'll be helpful to have sort of like a house mother that would like do the cooking, that would help out with the laundry. If you want to bring your own food, that's fine. You want to do your own laundry, that's fine. But for those that need the help, at least some minimal services, people that kind of help out a little bit. Now, everyone has chores. This doesn't mean that you keep your room in a mess. This doesn't mean that you're completely absolved of responsibility. And in addition to that, for people that have made it, like, did I make it? I don't know if I made it, but like I got a little extra money sometimes. Not right now, but like sometimes I have a little extra money, right? I wasn't blessed with kids, so I'm blessed with a little extra cash that we can donate to the house in general to keep. So like, for instance, say like there's 15 of us that like, you know what, I dedicate myself for the next 3 months. I can do 2 months. I can do 5 months. Whatever it is, I can give 100. I can give 200. Somebody might be able to give 1,000. And that means the cost of living for the house or the supplies or whatever it is can be reduced so that these women don't have to work full time, but that they can more focus on their entrepreneurial skills, their schooling or whatever it is. They have to keep some kind of a part-time job at least. And I'm talking about strict regulation here. So when I talk about no boys, focus on your entrepreneur, just for 1 year celibacy, and you can get kicked out. If this is not for you, you change your mind. It's not a problem. You don't have to stay. It's not for everybody. Everything isn't for everybody, but just some kind of safe haven for women to look out for one another, share costs, share the overhead, and focus on building up some kind of a skill so that they don't have to be dependent on some of these predatory people, whether it's a man, a woman, or anybody that's predatory that's going to try to take advantage of them. Listen, it's still going to happen to some extent. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be safe, right? But like you can at least build yourself up, because I think like when you're young, you are more susceptible to these ideas, to these predatory people, because you don't know anything just yet, you know? So if we can like, you know, maybe some of it will be you have to do some financial course. Maybe some of it would have to be a little bit of before you leave the house, after 6 months, you got to get like a NRA license. I don't know what all of the stuff would be, right? Out there, just throwing things out there. But the idea is that you have to be involved, and maybe 1 year wouldn't be enough. Maybe 1 year's too much. I don't know. I'm not, everything isn't solidified, but just this kind of idea. And why not have the same kind of thing for men? Because they're the people that we want to pair bond with, right? So why not have the same thing for men, where they have a safe space? Because these men are out here. I'm not a man, but from what I hear, and I've been listening to men on YouTube and things like that, some of them without fathers don't know what the role of a leader or what a man is supposed to be. And so they are then susceptible to men on the street, and they think that's what a man is supposed to be like. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. I don't know. You know, so if they had a safe haven in which they can go in 1 year, I know it's hard. It's difficult, I'll say. I don't want to, no pun intended. It's difficult. 1 year, just focus on building yourself up. Same, you know, rules apply. Focus on financial literacy. Focus on the skill. I don't care what the skill is. I don't care if you want to be a YouTuber in your room, and that's what you do. As long as you are showing a plan, you have a plan, you know, you have some kind of vision, some kind of mission statement, something. And at least for 1 year, 2 years, I don't know how many years it would be. But I think, I don't know, I love that idea of just, and then people can, like other men that are out there that, like, I don't know, that are successful in life, that just want to dedicate, you know, some money. They can say, listen, I'll pledge to pay $500 for the next 6 months because I got it like that. I'll pledge $50 for 3 months. I'll pledge whatever. And that will bring the overall, because you got to work. I don't care what is pledged. You got to at least, because you got to show that you are, I think there's something about, what is the right word I want to say? Dedication, about like fighting for something. You know what I mean? Like just working for, like having a work ethic. So you got to work, but you don't know who's pledging what. So at the end of the month, after you worked and you're like, okay, I'm ready to pay my $400 portion. I feel like, you know what? We got donations. You can keep that $400. What? I can do something with my $400? Yes. But in order for you to keep your $400, you got to go to this financial literacy course. If you want to hold on to your $400, you don't got to, it's covered under the circumstance that you go to this financial literacy course. You know, it's 2 hours, it's 3 hours. You just got to go and you can keep your $400 or something. I'm not making up stuff, but I love the idea. I'm not going to hog up your stuff. Hey guys, shout out to Mandrell. You see my program last night. No one's thinking about this. No one has.
Listen, man. I was trying to show the guy love because he actually did talk about solutions and didn't even show up.
I'm like, he's usually on time. I don't know. Check on him because normally he's on time. So I feel like give people a break when they are when it's something that's not usual for them. You know what I'm saying? I start the apology counter, yellow.
European Nordic countries have a program to pay for by their government for kids between 17 and 21 to figure out where they can see themselves in the future. I think it is a 1 year program. Yeah.
See, wow, their goal. Oh, hey, I love that. Let's look into that. Find out how it works. Maybe send somebody over there. Let them figure out how it works and see if we can try to duplicate that and see how that works out. I never even heard of that. Thanks for mentioning that, Mr. William.
21. They have some stuff like that out here, but that's voluntary. Like I know, like what's it called, a city year, and I think that's around the same group. But I think it's more than 1 year. I can't remember exactly. I knew some people that went through the program, but it helps reorient people as well, give them some skills and immerse them in different settings. So I really like those type of programs. But a lot of times, because they're you have to volunteer for it, you have to know about it.
Right.
You don't a lot of people just don't get involved in it, especially from, I would say, poorer communities. The knowledge and the access is sometimes limited. There are a few American outfits setting up. Yeah, there are definitely things like that out here. I just wish it was more prevalent. And I think nobody's going to do it if we don't do it. And I may not have resources, and nothing may come of this except for a few things. But I really like to. I don't know. I don't think I want to. With all the things that we talk about, we really don't sit through and think through like stuff like this. I don't see people like sit through. So I actually want to start doing some SWOT analysis on some of these ideas, like take it show by show and just work through a grouping of these, like 3 or 4 of them, and just start doing SWOT analysis on them. What's up, gang? What's up, Dury? So for the foreseeable future, forgive me, y'all. Everybody out there watching, y'all might just be seeing me work through 3 or 4 of these a show, like for at least the rest of June, and then have a new thing in July. Come up with 2 or 3 out of the ones from June. One that's plausible, one that's probably needs a little bit more like assistance from like money, skill, something, and then maybe one from the far-fetched area that we've kind of fleshed out more. And at the end of June, like those would be the 3 that we kind of stick with. Like, okay, these are the ones that maybe we send to some. I don't know. I don't know. I just know right now I don't want to have another conversation about a lot of weird stuff that really doesn't matter when I'm watching everything. It feels like all the stuff in real life in my city too. The crime is up in my city. It's crazy. People are scared of young people. We're scared of kids. Everybody's scared to talk to kids because they're jacking cars. And it's like, why are we going to talk about some of the same stuff over and over? And I really honestly did just see some people I adore talk about submission again. And I was like, why? Why?
This has been 2 years now.
Yeah, it's so much submission. And I was like, you know what? Maybe when I saw Mandrill try and I saw so many people push back, I'm like, I gotta believe that we can do better than that. And I know because, like, was it the Little Red Hen? I know it's going to be limited participation in all the steps leading up to anything that's actually viable and funded. That's the part where people would jump on. But I have to do something other than just the regular conversations. If I'm going to be here, let's work through some of this stuff. Just so our minds are actually critically thinking on something positive, positively oriented thinking.
At least time, we can't be all like pent up all the time, but at least sometimes we can get serious and sometimes we can have fun and sometimes we can just talk about what's popular. But I definitely think there's space for these kind of conversations as well. We got to definitely insert some of these kind of conversations because they're important. You never know who might be listening, who might decide, like, you know what, let me take action on that. Just never know. Maybe someone will have the funds to go find out about this Nordic program that exists. Who knows? And I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. So then
maybe
we can look into some of this stuff.
High value men can, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm dead serious. Maybe some of these people that really do have money, some of these people that are like, they can pledge every month for 5 months, 6 months, 3 months, something. I'm not saying you have to like drop a whole hell of a lot of money, but within your monthly budget, if you can commit to 6 months of maybe $400, $200, $100, whatever, if you have it like that, and you want to stay anonymous, you don't want people out there in your business. There's a lot of people that would be interested in helping out, but and if you got, like I said, if you're a high value man or whatever, you might be interested. I'm not even talking any funny business. I mean, serious.
Absolutely. No, and that's true because we have to figure out a division of labor. Because if there's somebody out there acquiring all this wealth and money, they're also not going to have time to sit there and brainstorm solutions and stuff in the community. So we have to start breaking this stuff up into chunks. And I'm learning that from my real life. I've had to break down goals and plans like to smaller and smaller chunks until it's doable. So we have to break this stuff down into smaller and smaller sections. Where's the doable part? On some of this part, like you said about the safe havens for women, I guarantee you, because I've worked with some like Amethyst out here in Columbus, I've worked with some that were based around trauma, violence, or drug addiction. So I do know that some of these do exist. They do have some of these rules, but it may be like tapping into them, seeing what we can do to help them grow, finding them in other cities that other people can help volunteer or donate to. So it may be simple as actually finding out that these things do exist, like Billy said, in Nordic countries. Okay, well, what are the similar ones here in the United States? Identifying those, and maybe we just pour time and money into those as opposed to trying to, start the wheel from scratch. But we won't know that until we start working through some of this stuff, because we need to break the stuff down. Because I do know, as Americans, myself included, we're lazy. We're intellectually lazy and we're physically lazy. So if it's not broken down into small enough chunks, a lot of us would never take any action. But if you present somebody, hey, this is going on, this is their funding, they always have a gap of about this much. Oh, okay, I can pitch in da 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 da. You have to make stuff, you have to present stuff in a way that it's digestible for a lot of people.
Right.
So I think that's what we have to cut this down into chunks. So that's what I think I want to spend time on, I guess, this month. It feels like maybe it'll be productive. It may be a complete waste of time. But again, if everything else I do is a complete waste of time, let it be towards a solution, towards something that's actually impacting people in real life. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, every tree starts from a seed, so you just never know what kind of seed you're going to plant and what kind of tree it will become, how deep its roots will come. Don't get me start talking gardening talk, because I get spiritual with this garden.
I love it.
But you never know when these little seeds start, you just never know how it'll flourish.
Yeah. So that's what we'll work on, y'all. So I will pick up next time y'all see a thumbnail from me. You're probably going to see 3 of these on there, and we're just going to do like a SWOT analysis. What will be required? There's these 3 questions. I'll play that clip next time, but we'll just pick 3 of these. I'll pick 3 of these, and we'll just start working through. Them. So that'll be my next time. Today's Thursday. I know tomorrow's family day for me. If y'all see me over the weekend, one of these. Otherwise, it'll probably be like twice a week working through some of these. So that'll be my thing. Nordic Meta Modern Men. So we got a list. We'll go from there. If y'all think of some, please drop them in the comments after the stream. Send them to me. For those of you that have my various contact informations,
drop them in the comment section.
Drop them in the comments.
So other people can see it.
Yeah, email me. Add it to the community tab. I'll say something on the community tab once I get something put together, and then we'll work from there. But yeah, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Nordic Meta Modern. Let me type that in now. That's Nordic.
I'm interested in looking into that. I'm so curious on how that works. I also think that, just throwing it out there, I think it's just also a good thing for every single person. I don't care how old how wealthy you are. You should have like one trip to I don't want to say a third world country, but like to one of these lesser developed countries, so you can kind of get out of this idea that your world is the block, that your world is all the amenities and conveniences we have here in the United States. It just someplace contribute to something. I don't care if it's Habitat for Humanity across the seas somewhere, but something in which you kind of see how other people are living, so that you understand that as messed up as America might be, we've got some privileges here that allow us to live in a little bit of a disillusion that, that we're, I'm BF'd up out here. And you're like, man, like if you kind of just for a little grounding. I'm not saying you shouldn't want stuff and things are cool. I like my perfume, but just for a little grounding. So I know you're trying to wrap up. I don't want to hold you up, but it was a great discussion.
No, thank you. And again, we'll just continue it on. It'll just be a continuation. That's what I'm gonna do, at least for the rest of June. I just want a continuation, and at least on this one thing, come away with possibly 3 decent ideas that might be workable. To even if it's nothing else, that people can write a letter to their local politicians and submit it. I mean, just anything is better than nothing for me at this point.
Right. And I'll come up next time. I didn't expect to be on here. I thought I was going to be listening to you and Mandrell. So I just like, you know what? You out here by yourself. Let me come on up.
Listen, you good. I'm not even worried about, I'm not worried about people coming up. I'd rather people participate and have a conversation than worry about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm way past that. So come up. If you feel like coming up, come up. Don't worry about camming. Because, man, it's more these ideas. We need to get some of this stuff looked into. Building schools is what it's called for. Yeah, there is one person. There is one person out here who is already ahead of that, Billy. As we talk about that. As we talk about that. One person's already ahead of the game.
Who the fuck are you? Excuse me. I only debate my equals. All others I teach.
Need all the hundreds and 50s, let's get it. I'm with this shit, so let's get it. Killing it, leaving nobody, no addicts. Rocks like I'm Lenny Kravitz.
You have cooned so bad, my brother, that they damn near need to put your face in the dictionary next to the word coon. And I don't mean no disrespect, my brother. White man play you like he play Sega. He play you, this is you. He ain't even got to be in the hood. He got this. He played Negroes like this. But they not speaking up against your oppression. I wish another coon, boot-licking, shuck-jiving Uncle Tom will get in my face talking about we need to be patient.
We gotta sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all just want to be comfortable.
It's none of your concern. You don't have the right to ask me where I've been. You don't have the right to know what I was doing. You messed up, and I took a break. And guess what? The next time you mess up, I'm going to take another break.
Dr. Umar Johnson with the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. It will open up one time in the future, 1 year, eventually, after all of your donations. You know, just keep donating, and he'll eventually open up the school. You got the HVAC in family. You got the HVAC in family. You got the HVAC in family. The HVAC is in family.
Wow. Great show. Thanks for watching, guys.